Hello, my name is Hagen von Ortloff. I host a lot of railway programs in Germany and I'm a big fan of Marklin. But I've got a problem, my English is not very good, so I brought a guy with me to help me.
I'm Dave Ball. I'm the producer of the popular public television series Tracks Ahead. And Hagen and I are very pleased to be able to present to you 1 Year with Marklin. This is the 2000 edition of a program that's been going on for about 7 years in Germany. This is the first year that we're doing it for the American audience. Now, in this program, we'll bring you some of the goings-on of the company and what's just generally been happening for about the last year. So, Hagen, where are we going first?
We go to Nuremberg. There's the toy fair every year in February, and it's always so cold as now. But we go inside.
Good. Toys, a class of objects that has been around since the dawn of man's ability to think. They are exciting, romantic, beautiful, and for over 140 years, toys have simply meant Marklin. Marklin brings play, enjoyment, and excitement to young and old alike, and this traditional Geppingen brand name is naturally one of the most important displays at the annual Nuremberg Toy Fair that admittedly is over 100 years younger than this Southwest German manufacturer of fine models and toys. Traditionally, the Nuremberg Fair stands at the beginning of an exciting Marklin year for everyone. Visitors and journalists from all over the world come to get information about the newest trends, dealers talk shop at the stands, and even television devotes time to this event. At the Marklin stand, they find the right themes. The company's varied program is being presented with new theme display cases, intended to make it vivid and entertaining. A highlight, the digital display case with the 1-gauge V36 and the HO measurement train that gives the Marklin model railroader continuous information about certain parameters of a train in motion. Or the Class 53 with a condensation tender whose cooling fans begin to turn at the press of a digital button. Always a crowd gathered around it, the motor display case. Marklin propulsion systems have been developed continuously over the years, right up to the trend-setting C-sign motor, a highly complex area of the product line that the company is trying to make more familiar to dealers and customers.
Wir wollen das Innenleben der Lokomotive mal in einzelnen Teilen aufzeigen, wollen aber gleichzeitig das gleiche Modell im fahrenden Zustand wieder zeigen, wie der Motor dann auf die Lokomotive wirkt. Und wir haben dann in großen Symbolen diese Motoren auch nochmal in drehender Bewegung gezeigt, damit der Besucher hier auf der Messe sieht, was sich unter der Haube oder unter dem Gehäuse einer Lokomotive überhaupt versteckt. Marklin gilt ja bei vielen als Hersteller hochpreisiger Artikel und die Preise werden durch dieses Schaufenster, wie wir es nennen, dadurch erklärt, indem wir die Technik, die in unseren Modellen steckt, hier deutlich zeigen. Bis so ein Modell in den Details fertig ist, da ist sehr viel Mühe, sehr viel Handarbeit, sehr viel Personaleinsatz notwendig.
This applies to the Swift ICE as well as to the cozy provincial railroad train with the Esslingen locomotive. Marklin's fine models have enjoyed an excellent reputation for generations because of the company's presentation.
Für mich waren Marklin-Modelle immer diejenigen Modelle, wo die Antriebstechnik und die Funktionalität die Hauptsache war. Das Modell musste schön sein, aber die Technik muss passen. Insofern ist es eine konsequente Weiterentwicklung dessen, was bisher gemacht worden ist.
And visitors to the toy fair have been quite receptive to the display case concept.
Schon interessant.
Kommt die Leidenschaft halt wieder vor. Gute Sachen, schöne Sachen.
Schönste Hobby der Welt. Früher habe ich Modellflieger geflogen und so weiter, aber es ist nach 15 Jahren auch langweilig geworden. Aber Eisenbahn geht nichts kaputt und macht Spaß.
It is a highly regarded hobby that teaches concepts and, in special situations, that also has financial value. The Platinum Crocodile presented in 2000, the Millennium locomotive, belongs to the latter category. The dividing lines between toy, art, technology, emotion, and certain investment value are vague here. Platinum, gold, rubies, titanium, wood, and ceramic material make each platinum crocodile a unique piece that also has its price, however. The question is whether Marklin General Manager Wolfgang Topp will also jump at the opportunity.
Nun, da werde ich sicher mit meiner Frau noch verhandeln müssen.
But you don't absolutely have to have the platinum crocodile in order to enjoy the hobby of model railroading. So much is offered, especially for the insiders, that Marklin never loses its fascination, and in all of its gauges at that. From one down to the smallest electric model trains, Mini Club, which had a Milwaukee Road diesel locomotive in its assortment for 2000. Special anniversaries are naturally a theme for Marklin railroaders, hence the birthday of the Geislingen grade, of course. More about that later. Already a hit with tricks in 2000, the blast furnace in HO. Marklin fans can already look forward to making steel in the scale of 1 to 87. The first 3-rail cars and locomotive for a blast furnace are planned for 2001. The fair is held every year, and it's the place to be in the model world. Next up, the 20th anniversary of Marklin in the United States.
I didn't realize that Marklin is so successful in the United States and so well known. I'm really astonished, Dave. I'm really astonished.
Well, let's take a look at the people in New Berlin, Wisconsin, who work for you, the customer, as well as a premium dealer and a Marklin fan in Kansas City. America, the land of unlimited possibilities. Marklin also has a tradition there dating back to the turn of the century in the last millennium. In 1980, the American subsidiary company was established in Milwaukee, an appropriate location since about 50% of the residents of Milwaukee have German roots, and Milwaukee is also home to several other model railroad businesses. And one of the most famous American railroads was located there for decades, the Milwaukee Road. It went bankrupt long ago, while Marklin Incorporated has developed quite well and now has operations in New Berlin, a suburb of Milwaukee. The general manager of the American subsidiary not only has an original license plate for his car, he can also talk about a true success story.
Marklin Inc. was established in 1980. This is our 20th anniversary as a distribution company for the Marklin products and now Trix products for the United States and into Canada.
And many American model railroad fans have benefited since then from the dedicated team in New Berlin. In the 80s, even then President Reagan was among Marklin's fans.
Well, we've grown substantially since we first started. One of the most significant things about the company was when it was established, we brought into our warehouse all of the merchandise that's shown in the catalog and all special items. So we were able to immediately improve the service and delivery to our dealers in the States, as well as, of course, to the consumer buying the product.
Yes, Mr. Schaefer. Yes, they're all in stock. Should be shipped tomorrow for you. All right. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
For years, Ken Brezink has been a good friend of Marklin customers who are looking for special spare parts or who want their favorite models repaired.
You'll never handle the service, which is the repair work, warranty repair. I also do retail repair, which is people pay for, restoration or general repairs. Those type of things that come into me, I handle best I can. A lot of people send back their locomotives on a yearly basis to have them checked and oiled, make sure they're running, and these locomotives date back to 40s and 50s, and they look in tremendous shape. Marklin makes an excellent product.
As Ken mentioned, he has a background in model railroad repairs from when he worked with his grandfather. He has also worked as a service manager for a German car dealership, which was undoubtedly good preparation for his job at Marklin.
Some years ago, a local television station did a special on repairing train repair at another facility I was working for. And they did like a 5-minute special and showed us myself and my grandfather, who taught me the train repair, and we were working on trains and fixing. And after that aired, we received a lot of people coming in with additional trains that didn't know that there was some area that could repair trains. Saddest part was the little children that came in with trains that were in very bad shape and would cost more money to repair, but they had so little money in their hands they couldn't afford it and couldn't afford a new one. And just look at those sad little faces, we did a lot of repair for free. I mean, we just did it and donated the parts just to make them happy, just to see the smiles on their faces. It was worth it.
Brenda is the coordinator for the Marklin Club in North America and is also heavily involved in Marklin's marketing and advertising activities in the USA. Along with an assistant, she handles all of the correspondence and phone calls received from members of the club. She also plans and coordinates the various club events, such as a trip for club members to the Marklin Model Railroad meet in Geppingen every other year.
We have, over the years, added to our website, continually developing it, providing more technical information about all of our products, and the Marklin Club. The Marklin Club of North America was established in 1985. Mr. Gates, our president, initiated the idea for the club. Our club has provided information through our Insider magazine to the club members. They enjoy the technical information, the how-to articles, and a lot of the history of railroading they find very interesting. We also hold events throughout the United States, and for many people, it gives them a chance to get together with others, that they share a great deal of camaraderie and enjoyment of their hobby.
Jeff Stimson is a sales manager for Canada and selected accounts in the USA. He also coordinates and helps with product research for new North American models. This involves activities ranging from looking for sources of information and original engineering drawings for planned models, down to details such as making sure of the right color for a car or locomotive's paint scheme. A total of 12 employees look after the needs of the Marklin consumers and the 400-some Marklin dealers who are spread out across the country and Canada.
Our objective is to provide a very high level of service, not only to our dealer base, but also to our consumers. We do a lot of shows to reach new consumers. We also do a lot of in-store promotions with our personnel, with some of our key dealers, primarily in the fall.
And one of the best Marklin dealers is located in Kansas City, Missouri, in a suitable atmosphere, of course. Kansas City is appropriately a major railroad junction for several American railroads, and the Crown Plaza is the name of the exclusive shopping center somewhat south of the downtown area and across from the Kansas City Union Station. It is here in this shopping center that Hall's Station can be found, along with a restaurant with a railroad theme. Hall's is a model railroad shop with tradition and style, as demonstrated by its decor and model railroad display layouts. These layouts are both a constant source of attraction to the shoppers in the center and effective selling tools for the Hall's staff to demonstrate the trains.
And they come because of quality, a quality that hasn't been available in America in the past and is just now coming along a little bit.
The Marklin quality is best experienced when the customer holds a locomotive in his hands, and the staff at Hall Station is more than happy to help the customer plan his purchases for that dream layout or show him the latest models just received from the Marklin warehouse in New Berlin. The display cases in Hall Station give an indication of the wide variety of models in the Marklin HO assortment. The Maxi line is represented at Hall Station also, as seen from this locomotive traversing a desert landscape on a factory-built display module.
Most people come in off the street just to see the trains run.
And then fall in love with the miniature worlds of wonder from good old Germany. Norman has been working with Marklin products as a consumer and as a dealer for almost 50 years, an extremely successful period of time that has given a great deal of enjoyment.
I started working with Marklin in 1952. And still today, Marklin is our best seller by far, probably because we've built up a big backlog of business and relationships with customers. Sometimes we even serve the original customer's grandchildren, which makes it kind of scary for me, you know.
Hall Station thus has a long tradition as a model railroad shop. and it is presently a premier Marklin dealer. In his private life, Norman is also surrounded by Marklin. He has been infected with the model railroad virus since his childhood. The cellar of his house can be designated without hesitation as Marklin country.
I have, by now, 365 locomotives of different gauges and makes, but 85% of it is Marklin.
Among them are valuable rare pieces from the pre-war period, such as this Swiss electric locomotive. Naturally, Norman's layout is Marklin HO and dates back in part some 50 years. Despite intensive use, everything works perfectly as the day it was made. Transformers, control boxes, and of course, the locomotive and cars, such as the E-44 from 1952. That there are so many model railroaders in Kansas City is probably due to the fact that this city on the Missouri River is one of the largest railroad junctions in the USA. You can still see everything there that is famous in American railroading. The many immense bridges and viaducts spanning the Missouri and Kansas rivers are also impressive, some of them partially on 2 levels even. In addition, Kansas City has one of the most beautiful passenger stations in the United States. Admittedly, the Union Station lost its original function at the beginning of the 70s when the privately owned railroads abandoned their passenger train service. Today, there are only a handful of passenger trains that stop here. Most of the time, you will see only freight trains rumbling past this monumental building restored at great expense and containing a museum. The final highlight of our visit to the Kansas City area is a visit with Dick Wright, a longtime Marklin fan who is stationed in Germany as an Army officer and who speaks good German.
Wir sind in meiner Keller in einer Marklin Paradies here in America.
With his Marklin dream world, Dick keeps alive his beautiful memories of his time in the Army just north of Nuremberg.
Ja, ich war schon hier in Deutschland stationiert, ungefähr 3 Mal. In Herzogenaurach war der letzte und da war eine schöne Stadt. Und das ist, weil dieser Raum heißt Herzog an der Aurach.
Why he decided to buy the little trains made in Geppingen for his hobby of model railroading is actually quite clear.
Marklin, das sind das Schönste. Marklin kommt mit Delta und mit C-Gleis und dieses perfekt für eine Hobby oder mit Collection auch. Das Marklin ist sehr gut für uns. Das kostet ein bisschen mehr hier in Amerika, aber das macht nichts, weil es ist eine gute Fabrik gemacht.
Naturally, Dick examined how this quality is produced right on the spot in Geppingen.
Wir waren bei der Fabrik und das war immer prima. Alles auf Hand gebaut. Ich war schon in der letzten Tour, letzte Jahre in Göppingen bei das Marklin Treff, das Wochenende Treff und mit dem American Club aus Amerika gekommen.
And because the visit at the Model Railroad meet in 1999 was such an exciting experience for him, this insider member will also be there in 2001. See you there. Hagen, we're off to Europe.
Yeah, well, we go to Switzerland, to France, to Austria and to Germany, and we show you lots of events, lots of nice places and lots of Marklin models.
I understand that we're going to take a ride on a Bavarian steam locomotive that takes us to a music festival about Mad King Ludwig, and we'll take a look at a very expensive crocodile locomotive. So, let's go. Now we are going to the Swiss Jura Mountain region, the center of the Swiss watchmaking industry. Our theme, the Swiss Collection Locomotive for 2000. On September 9th, the presentation of the second Swiss collection locomotive took place in Yverdon. Many Marklin fans came to this town in the Jura Mountains to admire the new star of the Swiss Federal Railways. The sides of this locomotive show the mechanism for a music box from the 19th century, a specialty of the manufacturers of fine mechanical devices in this region.
Die Leute, die auf den Zug warteten, konnten dann mit einfach 10 Rappen diese Musikdosen zum Laufen bringen.
These are beautiful sounds that are unfortunately not among the features of the HO model. This perfectly imprinted locomotive proves itself with its radiance and running characteristics. It's no wonder, since the C-sign motor is providing the propulsion. This model is also available in Z. Why was this theme in particular chosen for the design of a Marklin locomotive?
Wir sind dann auf dieses Thema gekommen, weil das ist verbunden mit der Sammlung, was eigentlich Marklin ja auch auszeichnet, plus das Traditionelle und das Spielerische. Also von dem her ist das Thema eigentlich ideal.
And that holds true for the use of this Marklin model in a collector's display case or on a layout built with loving care. We're already eager to find out which theme Marklin will select for the next Swiss collection locomotive. And a romantic special trip through the railroad paradise that is Switzerland will surely be a part of the program once again. Now we are going to Germany. In 2000, Marklin railroaders were able to place a genuine masterpiece of technology into service, the Goliath crane, whose 3 large prototypes are among the most impressive of the DB's locomotives and cars. The Leipzig crane operator Hans-Joachim Bohling will explain how his giant works, and thereby provide a perfect link to the Marklin HO model that has been reproduced in all of the original crane's details.
Zum Transport des Kranes muss diese Markierung mit der Windung der Seiltrommel und unserer Markierung am Ende der Seiltrommel, an der Kante der Seiltrommel übereinstimmen.
This construction site for a bridge shows that the new Marklin digital model can also master the most difficult tasks on a model railroad layout. A plate steel bridge that is weakened with age is being replaced by a modern concrete bridge.
Das ist ein Meisterschalter, mit dem schalte ich einmal das Haupttriebwerk auf 1. Jetzt kann ich die Flasche senken. Oder heben. Stellung Nummer 2 wäre das Einziehwerk. Der Ausleger senkt sich oder wird nach oben gezogen. Oder Stellung 3, Fahrwerk, nach vorn fahren oder nach hinten fahren.
As in real life, 2 Goliaths are required in HO scale to lift a complete bridge. This turns into a real sight in miniature that fascinates more than just the dyed-in-the-wool model railroaders. The Marklin Goliaths have been designed at great effort and carefully assembled, and they can be especially controlled with the precision of the original cranes. The old bridge can be loaded with millimeter precision onto a waiting heavy-duty truck that can then haul the antique freight away. Time is money. The new bridge is therefore rolled into place immediately to be attached to the hooks on the two Goliaths.
Dieses Gerät sagt mir, bei welcher Last wie weit ich meinen Ausleger nach unten nehmen kann und welche Last ich noch heben kann. Hier gibt es eine Tabelle für den Haupthub, das wäre die große Fläche. Da gibt es die Varianten ohne Gegengewicht, Gegenlast, mit einer Gegenlast oder mit zwei Gegenlasten. Und dann verändert sich jeweils immer der Neigungswinkel des Auslegers. Je weiter nach vorne ist, je weniger Last kann ich aufnehmen. Je steiler er steht, je höher kann ich meine Last nehmen. Die Lastkurve sagt, in welcher Ausladung ich welches Gewicht ich nehmen kann.
Translating the real-life Goliath into a model was as complex as the controls of the real-life crane. The Marklin designers found the right solution for all of the problems so that each load can be moved with perfection on your layout at home. And it is great fun, of course, when everything works like clockwork as it does at our construction site for a bridge. Marklin embodies the culture of playing in the best sense of the word, and it was natural that the electric train system from Geppingen is appreciated in one of the oldest cultural landscapes in Europe, in the picturesque Alsatian town of Sulz. There you will find the Spielschiff, a small jewel of a museum located in a former monastery that has been extensively restored. Toys from all over the world and from every period in time are on display for the amazed public. Special exhibitions are always a special attraction for the public. From the middle of March to the beginning of May of 2000, the theme was Marklin, Yesterday and Today. Marklin employee Roland Gaugele gave a speech in the presence of many honored guests on the opening of the exhibit.
Diese Ausstellung soll die Spur von der Fabrik feiner Blechspielwaren zur heutigen modernen Firma Marklin legen und zeigen, dass allen Generationen von 1859 bis heute eines gemeinsam ist: die Faszination und Freude in der Beschäftigung mit Marklin.
Marklin, a European cultural treasure. That was a reason for the museum's personnel to devote a special exhibition to this German brand name with its long tradition.
Ich glaube, dass also was Züge anbelangt, was Spielzeuge für Buben anbelangt, auch in Frankreich Marklin bekannt ist. Es ist einfach ein Mikrokosmos eines industriellen Lebens, das aus der zweiten Hälfte des letzten Jahrhunderts bis zu uns heute ragt. Und die Leute sehen gern, was damals war und was heute ist. Und ich glaube, das Wichtige ist, diese Brücken zu bauen und auch zu wissen, dass die Geschichte vorgeht und das immer verbunden ist mit Erneuerung. Das ist doch das Gebiet der Technik.
Apparently such an important topic that French television sent a camera crew to the opening.
Bon, un intérêt pour le train. La première ligne française de train a eu effectivement été en Alsace, qui était allemande à l'époque. Peut-être que les gens s'y intéressent, mais ce qui est important surtout, c'est qu'il y a beaucoup de gens qui sont aujourd'hui les gens qui ont entre 50 et 60 ans, pour qui les trains Marklin représentent la Rolls-Royce du train.
A great complement of considerable charm. By the way, a visit to the Spielschiff is worthwhile even without the special Marklin exhibition. The museum is open daily in the summer. Now from the picturesque Alsace to a great city on the Danube, Vienna. The splendid atmosphere of the Austrian capital was a showplace in April for a rather special presentation. The platinum crocodile that had already been presented to the dealers in Nuremberg was now going to be presented to an exclusive personality in a worthy setting. The scene of this event, a famous Viennese jeweler located right near the famous St. Stephen's Square and the St. Stephen's Cathedral, where the typical horse-drawn carriages start their tour of the city. Heldwein is the name of the jeweler that delivered the platinum crocodile in genuine style. In Vienna, Heldwein is a well-known name among lovers of jewelry. The ladies of high society in particular have a regular appointment there, and the newest creations from the store's own workshops are eagerly awaited. However, you seldom see model trains at Heldvines. The reception was accordingly quite lively when invitations went out on April 11, 2000 for the presentation of the Platinum locomotive. And the unusual decoration bound in rails was a stylish addition to the ambiance of the store. The undisputed star of the evening was without a doubt the Platinum Crocodile. Platinum is considered to be the most valuable of the rare metals. Only about 160 tons are produced per year, around 20 times less than gold. Each Platinum Crocodile is a unique piece, since a casting must be created for each locomotive. The jeweler is not the only one to be enraptured by this locomotive.
Platin für uns das edelste und wertvollste Material, das wir auch für unsere hochwertigsten Juwelen nur verwenden. Und das macht natürlich ein ganz bestimmtes Etwas aus. Das genießen wir sehr, das hier da zu haben.
Wir wollten damit auch ein Produkt bringen, in dem wir nur edle Werkstoffe verarbeiten und damit auch unsere Kompetenz in der Technik zeigen. Metallverarbeitung, Elektronik, besondere Werkstoffe. Und Platin eignet sich eben ganz besonders dafür.
Elegant technology of the highest quality brought together in a remarkable miniature locomotive.
Also ich muss sagen, ich habe als Kind nur eine Holzeisenbahn gehabt, war damit auch sehr glücklich, aber die gefällt mir auch sehr gut. Heute hätte ich gerne die.
A great product idea, like the model that will be presented in the next section. Marklin model trains would never have been so successful for such a long time without it. We're talking about the Adler, the first German train that ran between Nuremberg and Fürth starting in 1835. The original disappeared long ago, but the German Railroad Museum in Nuremberg carefully looks after an authentic reproduction of the Adler built in 1935. After a long pause, this jewel of a train has been operational again since 1999. The German Railroad's steam locomotive repair facility in Meiningen managed the extensive restoration of the locomotive and cars. Experts of the first rank did outstanding work.
Neben der Lokomotive sind auch die Wagen uns mit angeliefert worden. Die Schwierigkeit dabei ist nur die, das ist fast alles aus Holz und diese umfangreichen Holzaußen- und dekorativen Innenarbeiten müssen alle in Kooperationsleistungen erbracht werden. Eine sehr anspruchsvolle Arbeit. Die eigentliche Dampfmaschine und die doppelte Kopfachse von der Dampflokomotive selber. Ein Wunderwerk der Technik und wir freuen uns, dass wir diese Lokomotive bei uns im Werk haben und aufarbeiten dürfen, damit sie ab Juli wieder fahren kann.
The actual reason to undertake a general overhaul of this original form of transportation was the 100th anniversary of the German Railroad Museum. Thanks to the valuable work done at Meiningen, the first attempt to fire up the locomotive in Nuremberg went off without a hitch. It takes several hours to heat up the boiler before there is enough steam in it. And then the first run since the restoration can take place. The cars for the Adler train are pulled outdoors by hand from a separate shed track because the Adler is stored in the shed in two sections due to its length. Pushing and coupling these lightweight cars is no problem, and the entire train is soon steaming out from the grounds. Naturally, the Adler also belongs in every model railroad collection. Marklin therefore decided to produce the first German train as an insider model for 2000, a finely constructed model employing a high degree of technology. A decorative piece for a display case and for your layout that comes complete with figures, in contrast to the real-life model of 1835.
Der erste Adler wurde im Mai 1835 in Newcastle in England bestellt und der Lokführer Wilson aus Newcastle war auch dabei. Der ist gleich mitgeliefert worden. Der war zerlegt, der Adler, und musste dann in Nürnberg zusammengebaut werden. Man muss sagen, die Technik ist ja einmalig. Es wird Wasser gekocht, es kommt Dampf und dann die Technik der Steuerung, die für die damalige Zeit wirklich eine tolle Sache war.
Unfamiliar powers that evoked fear, hissing and belching hot steam invaded human life at that time. The development went tirelessly on, however, up to the current ICE-3 with its speeds of over 187 miles an hour. There are over 160 years separating these generations of railroad motive power, old and new technology that fascinates people, and the former is still being mastered today by locomotive engineers.
Ja, im Gegensatz zur großen Dampflokomotive ist der Adler natürlich wesentlich pflegeleichter. Er ist nicht so anstrengend zu heizen und nicht so anstrengend zu fahren. Dafür ist man also aber natürlich sehr wetterabhängig.
Anyone wanting to experience the prototype of his Marklin model will have the opportunity to do it in 2001 as well. The Adler will be in operation in the summer between Ebermannstadt and Beringersmühle. It was opened in 1850, 15 years after the first run of the Adler train, the famous Geislingen grade, a part of the Swabian Railroad from Stuttgart to Friedrichshafen. 150 years later is the celebration of its big anniversary. This grade still sees a lot of rail traffic on it, so let's have a look around with a large number of visitors and interesting railroad locomotives and cars. Steam also is part of this celebration, of course, but unfortunately nothing from Württemberg is being run. But there is Württemberg wine to enjoy on this occasion. The German Crocodile, the E94, is present on the track, as well as the ICE-3. The organizers of this anniversary have created magic in the truest sense of the word in their attempt to put together an attractive program. And Marklin, whose history started in the neighborhood, so to speak, several years after the opening of the grade, is of course also a part of the party. The highlight of the exhibition in the Jahn Hall is a large project in the smallest possible scale, the Geislingen grade as a Z-scale model. A portion of the grade between the gasworks for the town of Geislingen and the station at Amstetten is depicted on this layout. Geislingen model railroaders spent 2 years and over 3,200 hours of work creating this 92-foot layout. Aside from a few train consists, the scenery is the year 1925, a year that was chosen after careful consideration.
1925 sind die Hälfte der 150 Jahre, die jetzt vergangen sind, seit die Geislinger Steige eingeweiht worden ist.
This Z-gauge layout is well worth seeing, and after the celebrations it will be on display in the Geislingen City Museum. During the anniversary weeks, the museum housed an exhibition about the pioneers of railroad construction 150 years ago. The centerpiece of the display is the builder of the Geislingen grade, Michael Knoll, and his associates who first made this project possible with their enthusiasm. In the 19th century, building railroads was real backbreaking work, but it did pay off. The economy grew, and starting in 1917, six-axle giants like the Württemberg Class K had to be acquired for freight service. An original of this locomotive was unfortunately not preserved. Marklin brought out the HO model for the anniversary. Class K was a real workhorse that tirelessly did its work. Photographs or movies of this mighty iron horse are rather rare. Soon the Class K was not powerful enough, and electric motive power came on the scene. They were placed into service in June of 1933, and modern signaling plants rationalized the heavy train operations over the grade in the following period, as did the post-war electric locomotive designs. Starting in the 60s, the six-axle E50 took over many heavy freight trains that were still often used to transport coal in gondolas or hopper cars. The pre-war E93 and E94 designs were used for a long time in helper service. It is interesting to note that the engineers had to stand in these locomotives.
Danke, Schiebelok vom 5441 verstanden.
When the Class K was still in use steaming up the Geislingen grade, train times up the grade were twice as long as in the period that followed when electric locomotives were introduced. This sooty era is chiefly noted for providing the right flair for a model railroader, and with Marklin models reproduced with scale fidelity from the time of the Royal Württemberg State Railways. Over the years, the appearance of the grade has not always changed for the better. Injected concrete now covers parts of the cliffs, for example, and steam is seldom seen on this route that was electrified long ago. Still, there are trains running on the grade around the clock, but the almost universal 4.45% grade is a bottleneck that slows down the superfast ICE trains. The solution for this has been on the drawing board for a long time, but that is hardly being discussed at this great celebration. Instead, everyone luxuriates in nostalgia at the special exhibits and more. Outdoors, the steam trains from the time of our grandfathers are the most attractive form of motive power, especially the shuttle trains started by the Ulm Railroad Enthusiast Group in the Geislingen Valley Station. The Baden tank locomotive, number 751118, bravely masters the grade up to the Alb Plateau, a feat that was viewed as impossible for a rail line until Knoll's pioneering achievement. Whether you're talking about Era 1 or 5, the Geislingen grade offers almost inexhaustible themes for a model railroader. There is no lack of suitable locomotives and cars in the Marklin catalog, and the locomotive you will see in the next section is already running over this Swabian main line. Taurus is the name of a new look among Marklin railroaders and on the rail lines in Austria and southern Germany. It is the joint German-Austrian production of the Eurosprinter family of locomotives. The final assembly of the parts delivered from Krauss-Maffei for this locomotive takes place in the Austrian Federal Railways facilities in Linz. DB Cargo has ordered 25 locomotives, and the Austrian Railways have placed an order for 375 units.
Sie hat den Spitznamen jetzt den Ferrari der Schiene, weil sie so tolle Leistungsdaten hat. Wir haben sie auch im Ferrari-Rot spritzen lassen Und hier waren wirklich die Techniker, die Perfektionisten am Werk. Nichts ist zufällig. Die Form hat Luftwiderstandsbeiwert und die Fertigungstechnologie gegeben. Also wir haben nichts aus modischen Schnickschnack gemacht. Alles muss eine industriell funktionelle Sache erfüllen und ich glaube, das ist sehr gut gelungen.
In 2000, the first 25 of these 11,000 horsepower locomotives were placed into service. Their first assignments usually found them at the front of trains in the direction of Vienna. For that reason, Marklin also selected the Austrian capital as the place to present this brand new HO model. How does Marklin appreciate the Austrian market?
Österreich ist einer unserer wichtigsten Exportmärkte neben der Schweiz und den Benelux-Ländern und den Vereinigten Staaten. Wir haben speziell für den österreichischen Markt neue Modelle entwickelt. In diesem Jahr der Taurus, der Stier, der österreichische, der den kompletten Cargo-Verkehr und den Personenverkehr über die Alpentransversale abwickeln soll.
Can the Taurus also be used for express trains?
Der Haupteinsatz ist also sicherlich im schweren Güterverkehr, also Züge bis 2000 und 3000 Tonnen befördern, aber auch im hohen Geschwindigkeitsbereich des Fernverkehrs, wo wir vor allem in Deutschland auch Züge bis zu 200 und 230 km/h ziehen werden.
A distinguishing feature of this general-purpose locomotive is its daily running distance of over 625 miles on average. On long runs, it really is able to show off its strengths. The Eurocity Express Vorarlberg is pulled by a Taurus from Lindau to Vienna, right through the most beautiful landscapes of this Alpine Republic. The hard development work by the technicians was worth it. Naturally, the Göppingen locomotive builders didn't want to take a back seat to the real thing. The HO model is particularly striking by virtue of it being constructed entirely of metal. The internal features are also quite convincing. The C-sign motor provides the propulsion, and we should stop for a moment to take a closer look at how it works. The 9-pole stator is mounted permanently in place in the motor block and is surrounded by an iron bell-shaped piece of metal that has been removed for this animation. When the locomotive receives a command to move, the rotor begins to turn. The fixed stator generates the rotating magnetic field just like a three-phase motor. Brushes are not necessary for commutation of the motor. This makes the motor practically free of maintenance. The motor is also attractive because it draws such a low level of current. In conventional and in digital operation, the C-sign motor runs smoothly even at low speed. The iron bell on the rotor works like a flywheel to smooth out irregularities in motor behavior. The Taurus is thus a true high-tech product. In the prototype and as a model, this Ferrari of the rails will conquer railroads in no time at all. Marklin is on a course for success with its progressive model selection process. The annual press conference in 2000 once again took place in an appropriate environment. Frankfurt Main Station, hectic turnaround point for the fast ICE traffic, was the framework for this traditional event attended by journalists from all of the media. The crew from the Baden-Württemberg television news program Abendschau was also there and broadcast a short report on the same evening.
Bei Marklin in Göppingen laufen die Geschäfte weiter sehr erfolgreich, entgegen dem langjährigen Trend in der Spielwarenbranche. Die Marklin-Modelleisenbahnen sind nicht nur bei Sammlern beliebt, auch die Kinder haben das klassische Spielzeug wiederentdeckt. Und so rechnet man bei Marklin auch in Zukunft mit weiteren Zuwächsen.
6 Milliarden Mark beträgt das jährliche Umsatzvolumen des Spielzeugmarktes in Deutschland. Circa 800 Millionen entfallen auf Modellbahnen und Zubehör. Und Marklin holt sich von diesem Kuchen wie immer den größten Batzen. In der Jahrespressekonferenz wurde bereits zum 15. Mal hintereinander ein Umsatzplus verkündet. Diesmal 6,4%. Über Gewinn spricht man beim größten Modellbahnhersteller der Welt nicht.
Die Marklin-Gruppe steigerte den Umsatz gegenüber dem Vorjahreswert von 300,4 Millionen Mark um 19,3 Millionen Mark. Die konsolidierte Konzernbilanz weist damit einen Umsatz in Höhe von 319,7 Millionen Mark aus.
Mehr als 30 Millionen Mark hat man investiert, auch in innerbetriebliche Abläufe. Betrug die Entwicklungszeit eines neuen Modells vor kurzem noch 2 Jahre, so liegt sie heute bei 19 Monaten. Das Hauptstandbein von Marklin bleibt die gängige Spur H0. Mit ihr wird gut 60% des Umsatzes erzielt. Aber auch Replikas wie dieses Karussell oder eine Luxus-E-Lok aus Platin werden den Umsatz auch in diesem Jahr weiter nach oben treiben. Ganz nebenbei, diese Lok kostet stolze 65.000 Mark.
A good outlook, it would seem, and the Marklin Railroad runs and runs and runs. Whether it's with platinum crocodiles or the model of the ICE-3, the current star of the German rail system. Anyone who is successful must also make sacrifices. In 2000, it was a prominent Marklin product. The production of M-Track is ending after 65 years. This sturdy metal track gave generations of small boys and great men many hours of enjoyment. The metal track will surely grace Marklin layouts for decades to come. Reason enough to look in on one of the last days of production at the individual assembly stations. The openings for the center rail, as well as the holes for the track mounting screws and the connecting tabs, are punched in the flat, beige-brown lithographed metal sheets using a special eccentric press developed and built for Marklin. Here you see the production of the straight 180mm standard track sections. The machine itself is designed for production of the entire M-Track program.
Da werden dann die Werkzeuge ausgebaut und andere Werkzeuge eingebaut für die anderen Gleisstücke. Aber es können alle Gleisstücke auf dieser Maschine gefertigt werden.
The production technology for the track has hardly changed in the last decades, as a comparison with samples from the 60s shows. The production of the center rail stud contacts is much the same as it was when the solid center rail was done away with in the 50s. Wide strips of sheet metal are stamped and cut out in the same machine. A must, of course, even for M-Track components, the quality control process. Let's go on to the final assembly. Only the rails are lacking, without which the miniature Marklin trains would never run.
Das sind Metallbänder, die werden aufgelegt und gehen durch einen Profilautomat und werden so profiliert, dass hinten der fertige Schienenstrang rauskommt, am Stück.
Naturally, non-stop means in the right length for the track section being produced. M-Track production with the center stud contacts was started in 1956, and its development ended in 1968 with the introduction of the symmetrical three-way turnout. As is so often the case, something better is the downfall of something good. K-Track and then C-Track, produced from 1996 on, replaced the classic metal track more and more. Production of the latter finally was ended in the spring of 2000. M-Track will still be available in the shops for some time. All roads lead to Rome, and all rails lead to Cologne, Germany. Every other year for model railroad fans, when the traditional International Model Railroad Show takes place there, and 2000 was the year for it once again. Visitors from all over were expected, and they would naturally find it worthwhile to explore this 2,000-year-old city on the famous Rhine River before the show. The cathedral is a landmark of Cologne. The foundation stone for it was laid on August 15, 1248. The cathedral was not completed, however, until 1880, after construction on it was halted in the middle of the 16th century. Cologne is also a center for the Carnival or Mardi Gras season that is so popular in Germany, and the city is naturally one of the most important railroad junctions in all of Europe. Even the Cologne show has a direct connection by rail, with a station in Köln-Deutz, which lies across from the cathedral on the left bank of the Rhine, right by the internationally important trade show grounds. Railroad fans from all over Europe can travel to the International Model Railroad Show in comfort by train.
Köln ist weltweit Messeplatz Nummer 4. Wir sind das viertgrößte Messegelände in der Welt und wir sind das einzige Messegelände, was so richtig mitten in der Stadt liegt und wo in Zukunft die ICE-Strecke sich kreuzt mit der internationalen Strecke Köln-Paris im Messegelände.
Many a glass of Kölsch beer will be consumed by the time the show is over. This special, well-known Cologne beer is drunk in large quantities, especially during the carnival period. In 2000, the show took place right around November 11th. The carnival season starts on this date. Marklin took advantage of this occasion and invited some important visitors for precisely 11 o'clock. The band from the oldest Cologne Carnival Association did the honors. Wolfgang Tope had an appropriate gift ready, a specially designed red and white car with a coat of arms for this association. Such a decorative piece naturally had to be celebrated with something to drink, as is a celebration of Carnival or Mardi Gras.
Ja, für Köln ist es also ein ganz großer Tag. Wir haben heute Sessionseröffnung in Köln.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Dirigentin, Gastweise, Träger von Köln! Hallo! Marklin! Hallo! Von Köln! Hallo! Sehr zum Wohle!
The band of merrymakers then makes way again for the subject of model railroading, and here Marklin had come up with another special model typical of Cologne.
Wir machen immer anlässlich der internationalen Modellbahnausstellung vor Ort mit einem traditionellen Unternehmen einen Wagen, den es dann nur zu dieser Modellbahnausstellung gibt. Und hier in Köln lag natürlich sehr nahe, dass wir mit der traditionellen Firma Stollwerk was machen, haben mit denen gesprochen und haben uns dann für dieses wunderschöne Motiv entschieden aus den frühen 20er Jahren.
Not the only surprise for the Marklin insiders at the show. At the insider stand, they learned of an attractive advertising promotion.
Wir hatten aus dem Kreis unserer Insider öfters den Wunsch, man könnte doch mal bekannte Freunde werben, und hier haben wir auf dieser Basis unser Konzept aufgelegt. Wir haben hier die Planung, ein Insider kann 1 oder 2 potenzielle Insider anmelden, werben und bekommt dafür entsprechende Prämien angeboten.
And one of these attractive bonuses was the 60-minute Eisenbahn Romantik video, Factory of Dreams. Certainly many of the insiders could dream when they saw the insider model for 2001 presented for the first time to the public in Cologne. Big Boy is the name of the Colossus in HO scale, an HO giant made completely of metal whose prototype ran on the Union Pacific Railroad until 1959. Even a few female hearts grew faint at the sight of this model.
Also der Big Boy ist natürlich für mich ein echtes Wunschmodell. Ich bin sowieso Amerika-Fan und dadurch trifft es voll meinen Geschmack. Also ich bin überzeugt, dass ich mir den Big Boy auch ins Wohnzimmer stellen werde.
And most of the insiders had a similar positive opinion about the Big Boy.
Sehr schön. Wirklich klasse Modell.
Ja, auf jeden Fall. Also das ist ein Riesending, ist das ja. Da braucht man eine große Anlage, um die laufen zu lassen.
The Marklin Dealer Group, called the MHI, short for Marklin Dealer Initiative, celebrated its anniversary in Cologne. The MHI is a manufacturer-supported organization that commissions special models known as the Exclusive Program.
Ja, wir haben in der MHI in jedem Jahr eigentlich ein Highlight gehabt. Das begann 1990 mit dem VW-Zug und endete eigentlich in diesem Jahr in 2000 mit unserem Karussell.
A piece of art made of sheet metal, produced in limited quantities and very much in demand. This line will be continued, of course.
Auch in der MHI wird es in den nächsten Jahren weitere Blechreplikas geben, das heißt Replikas von Marklin-Spielzeugen aus der früheren Zeit, aus der Jahrhundertwende. Und da müssen sich unsere Kunden überraschen lassen, was wir da in den nächsten Jahren bringen.
The fans of Marklin's smallest model trains will also continue to get their money's worth in the next few years. The many Z-scale layouts on display in Cologne shows how Mini Club is increasing in popularity. They can number 18478 was painted in royal blue at the instigation of Marklin in the summer of 2000. Marklin financed most of the repair work done on the locomotive long before it was painted.
Im Wesentlichen war das die Kesselhauptuntersuchung, die fällig war, aber jetzt über den Winter, wobei wir noch Kesselschäden festgestellt hatten Ende letzten Jahres in der Feuerbüchse, die behoben werden mussten, sodass das umfangreicher geworden ist, als bisher geplant war. Und wir mussten in der Feuerbüchse einige Flicken einsetzen, Nietarbeiten machen. Und das Ganze hat sich also jetzt über 7 Monate hingezogen.
Then the elderly lady was up and steaming again, but in the well-known green paint scheme. At the Marklin headquarters in Göppingen, it was thought this elegant Bavarian lady would look good in blue also, and a contract was given for it to be repainted.
Zuerst musste alles Öl und Fett von der Lokomotive entfernt werden. Nach dem Entfetten und Abschleifen der Lokomotive wurde eine entsprechende Grundierung aufgebracht und nach dieser Grundierung die Decklackierung im Farbton Königsblau. Zum Abschluss wurden dann sämtliche Applikationen mit einem Spezial-Goldlack ausgeführt, um dieser Lokomotive diese einzigartige Erscheinung zu gewährleisten.
After that, nothing stood in the way of the eagerly awaited first time for the boiler to be fired up since the locomotive's extensive overhaul and new paint scheme. Work was done on the locomotive right up to the last minute. Finally, all of the equipment was back in place on the locomotive, and after many months of standing cold, there was a fire again burning in the firebox of the S36.
Die Lok ist nicht für Einheitspersonal geeignet, weil sie verschiedene Eigenheiten hat in der Technik, in den Armaturen, die von Einheitslokomotiven abweichen. Dazu ist es eine Vierzylinder-Verbundlokomotive, die ganz anders fährt von ihren dynamischen Eigenschaften als die normalen Zweizylinder-Loks. Das heißt, man braucht schon spezielles Personal für die Maschine.
A difficult, elderly lady whose Marklin HO version is as impressive as the puffing, chuffing original itself. All of the test runs went off without a hitch, and on November 19, 2000, a special premiere was celebrated. The use of this royal blue locomotive on the point of a special train to the musical about Ludwig II in Füssen. It is icy cold. The locomotive is enveloped in clouds of steam, an almost mythical appearance at the main station in Munich in the year 2000.
Einmal die Hähne, bloß beim Wegfahren. Abfahren, abfahren.
The departure from the Munich main station turned into a steam and smoke-filled spectacle that would have fascinated even King Ludwig. The fairy tale king would never in his wildest dreams have imagined that one day a steam locomotive of the Royal Bavarian State Railroad would meet an ICE. The train went at about 63 miles per hour over the Allgäu rail line to an event that has brought back to life the dream worlds of a legendary monarch. Queen of the Rails comes in full steam to her king. The passengers on the train are treated to culinary delights as a foretaste of the show.
Bei uns wird alles an Bord frisch zubereitet. Es wird nichts irgendwo vorgekocht, sondern alles an Bord frisch. Die blauen Wagen sind die Gastronomie auf Schienen, Reisen, Speisen, Feiern. Wir fahren seit 16. April mehr oder weniger regelmäßig nach Füssen zu dem Musical, zweimal im Monat, einmal von Augsburg und einmal von München aus.
An ambiance is offered on the train that increases the anticipation for the musical, and that devotees of musicals were able to enjoy on a regular basis. Behind the blue S36 speeding through the typical Bavarian landscape on its way to the Allgäu Alps and Neuschwanstein. The Ludwig musical is playing there, where this Bavarian king spent so much time, right near the fairy tale castle of Neuschwanstein that was built at the direction of Ludwig. A piece of land on nearby Lake Forgan was prepared and the theater was built there in 1998. A selection of appropriate products sells quite well in the gift and souvenir shop for the theater.
Da haben wir zwei Sondereditionen der Firma Marklin, die sehr gefragt sind, denn wir haben ja eine Miniatureisenbahnanlage hier im Haus. Analog unserem Bühnenbild, wo Ludwig im Ballon über die ganze Welt fährt, fährt hier ein kleiner Zug durch die ganze Welt und das regt natürlich an und das nimmt der Eisenbahnsammler mit nach Hause.
In HO or in Z, the Marklin musical locomotives and cars are souvenirs in keeping with a musical production that is being celebrated and put on with great affection and effort. An international cast provides a high level of quality. The portrayal of King Ludwig himself is surely the greatest challenge of the musical.
Das ist, glaube ich, das Schönste an die Figur von Ludwig, dass er wirklich sich vor der Welt gezeigt hat, wie er diese Passion ausgelebt hat. Und das als König, das als Mensch mit viel Macht in einem recht konservativen Land.
And this king had only one love in his life, Sisi, the Empress of Austria.
Ich habe diverse Biografien gelesen, mich erstmal versucht, in diese Frau reinzuversetzen, die eine sehr, sehr schwierige Frau war.
Dazu braucht man einiges an Hilfe.
With a wardrobe both difficult and heavy in the truest sense of the words, that was also stylish and, like the musical itself, assembled with much loving care. It is an exciting and beautiful production in a white and blue picture book landscape. And Marklin has made sure that the steam train is also a part of it. Marklin has always been known for great quality, so let's see how they produce their products. During the heyday of American passenger service, we saw the advent of the streamliner. Marklin has reproduced these famous trains in miniature. Hagen, how'd they do this?
Oh, Dave, it's really a very complicated production process. So complicated that I can't explain it in English.
Well, let's take a look at the tape and see how they do it. The last North American streamliner from the classic period of North American passenger trains, the Canadian, is proof of how prototypical the individual cars reproduced by Marklin are. The aluminum car bodies are formed in an expensive extrusion process. The extrusions come out as 15-foot-long pieces that are then processed further to make the bodies. The manufacture of the various streamliner car types requires a high degree of labor. An example of this is the dome cars that were a special feature of many streamliner trains. The individual car bodies must first be cut from the extrusion. Special automatic machines then stamp out the window openings. Finally, the car bodies are trimmed to within a millimeter of their required length. The standard cars are relatively easy to produce. The observation car with its rounded end is considerably more difficult. Automatic bending presses set up with precision tolerances guarantee that the HO observation car will look just like the prototype. The reward for this ingenious method of construction, the Marklin HO versions reproduce the typical consist for a streamliner perfectly. A piece of Rocky Mountain railroading on your home layout doesn't require any magic, particularly since Marklin will probably offer many famous railroads in the next few years as variations on the streamliner theme. Marklin has already offered one of the most famous streamliner trains, the California Zephyr, but not with a Rio Grande F7, however. The Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy, the Denver and Rio Grande Western, and the Western Pacific operated the California Zephyr jointly as an especially interesting connection for tourists between Chicago and San Francisco. The most beautiful part of the trip was behind a group of EMD F7 diesel locomotives through the Feather River Canyon, a line that now belongs to the Union Pacific Railroad. This route now sees passenger trains only on special occasions. The proud history of American railroading is being given due honor by Marklin, and in the next few years, the American program will be expanded further. Hagen and I hope that you've enjoyed this presentation of 1 Year with Marklin. We've tried to bring you a little more information on the background of the company as well as its role in the model railroading industry.
And we are quite sure that you have had a little bit of fun with our program. Dave, I say thank you very much for your help. I learned much more English in the last 60 minutes than in the last 20 years. Thank you very much. And we say goodbye, and I'll do it in my way, like I do it always in Germany. Bis denn und tschüss.